It is Monday, August 26, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today. It is presented to you by 5 Hour Energy. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, along for the ride as well. We are back in our respective homes. We are gearing up. We've got 5 weeks left in the season or so. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing great, Chris. I am so happy to just be home. Yesterday, I sat, watched some baseball. I
Mm.
did a whole chicken roast
Mm.
inside. Then we ended up grilling later on in the day. Made some shrimp and some salmon and corn on the grill. It was just a marvelous like pool day at home. There's just nothing better, man. Little end of summer, leading into Memorial Day. Love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. You deserve a little
How you
downtime.
doing?
I'm great. I'm great. We took Brady to college. So that is done. He's off and running. We're excited for him. Trying to give him his distance while still checking in occasionally. There's always an interesting balance with that, but we're very proud of who he is
Me
and his
too.
future. Yeah, he's a good
He
kid.
needs
So
it if he needs some, words of wisdom, he can call Uncle Trev any day.
that is true, and he idolizes you. So I think in virtually every facet of life, that is a good thing. That is a good thing. So we are at the end of August. School is starting for a lot of kids. Maybe you're a little down in the dumps. You need a little pick me up. Well, that is where our friends from 5 Hour Energy lend more than just a helping hand. They have shots that are packed that'll help you feel alert and energized. It also is chock full of vitamins and nutrients and about as much caffeine as the leading premium coffee. Also, this is nice for guys like Trevor Plouffe. It contains zero sugar. So you drink it in seconds, you feel it in minutes, and it lasts for hours. They've got a wide range of flavors across their regular strength and extra strength varieties as well. So I want you to head on over to 5hourenergy.com and use that code word JohnBoy. You'll save 20% on your first order. That is the number 5hourenergy.com. Code is JohnBoy. You'll save 20%. And don't forget, end of the week, 5 Hour Energy question of the week. You guys have been killing it. Get that in by Thursday night so we can use it on Friday's show. Start off with an amazing tip of the cap over the weekend in Baltimore, where Jose Altuve has now a lifelong Orioles fan in his fold. Kid named Chris said, "Hey, Jose, will you give me your bat if you hit a home run?" So you see it. He took Povich deep, lived up to it, gave him his bat. Here's the kid.
Right after he called me into the dugout and gave me the bat. He's my idol plus. Now it was my favorite thing of my life. I was excited. I was crazy.
Could you believe it when he was calling you over?
No, I was shocked.
What does it feel like holding this bat right now?
I'm like shaking right now.
He's my idol plus.
It's amazing. Look, Jose Altuve is one. I've said this before. I gave him an award on Talking Baseball before about just how good of a guy he is, and we need to I wish that was back in the baseball world. He still gets the boos and all these things, but he's one of the good guys throughout the sport. He's a hell of a player, hell of a person, and when you get stories like this, you kind of understand. And again, I'll say it again, say this all the time. If you're a baseball player or anybody in that position, just do simple stuff like this and make sure that you don't got to pay for those bats. Somebody's flipping the bill for those things, man. You can hand them out.
You could end up being somebody's idol plus.
Yeah, that was
At the end
awesome.
of the
Very
day.
cool.
Yeah, it was just fantastic. And that kid, Chris, was great with Julia Morales, who does an outstanding job on the Astros broadcast. Good for them. And if you're not smiling after listening to little Chris, you better go check yourself, because then you are just not a happy person at all, because that was awesome. Dude, we got so much to cover here. A weekend full of milestones, and none bigger than the way that Shohei Ohtani walked into the club.
First pitch. Fly ball, right center field. Series going back. He's at the track. He's at the wall. 40-40. Walk-off grand slam. No way. What a moment. History.
And you nailed it, Joe Davis, as you usually do, because, no way. History. It was awesome to see him become the sixth member of the 40-40 club with a walk-off grand slam. But my question to you is, do you think people are appreciating this achievement the way they should be?
I think so. The only thing I think about with Shohei is he's just so good that people are like, just expect it now, which is crazy. You know, and I don't want to call it Shohei fatigues. I believe everyone still just understands what we're seeing, but he does stuff like this all the time. It's crazy. And again, to go into the 40-40 club, fastest guy to ever do it during a season, or least amount of games, I guess you should say. Walk off, awesome. Grand slam. Are you kidding me? Like he just has the flair for the dramatic. And I don't even think it's that actually, Chris. I don't think he has the flair for the dramatic. I think he's just really good. So whenever he gets a chance, he just comes through and then people say, "Oh, he's got the flair for the dramatic." No, he just comes through all the time. He's got the flair for every situation. He's the man. I do have to shout out my guy Tony who dropped the ball. This guy's a super fan from Minnesota. I've got to know him very well.
Oh, no.
He's doing a West Coast trip. I saw him in San Diego. He told me he was going to LA. That ball hit off the heel of his glove. He had it and missed it. Can you imagine having Shohei's 40-40 ball?
Oops.
Jose Sear ended up throwing it into the stands. Somebody got it. I don't know if we ever got the story about what that guy did with it, but my guy Tony,
that's
tough.
rough. That's rough. I don't know, Trev. I think people do underappreciate it. You know, like, oh,
You
okay.
think?
I do. Like if he gets to 50-50 and he's got a shot at it, I know he's on pace for it, but still, you don't know if he's going to end up hitting another, 9
He'll get the bags. He'll get the
He'll get the
bags
bag.
for sure because he'll just steal. He wants that number. It's if he can hit, 10 more
run.
homers.
Yeah, I hope he can because I want to see him get to 50-50. Like that's certifiably insane. People say, well, okay, you know what? He's had only hitting to concentrate on. Now, I want to stop you right there for a second. What do guys who are rehabbing Tommy John surgery do? They rehab Tommy John surgery. Like, that is their job.
Nobody's saying he only has hitting to focus on. That's what every person in the big leagues does except for Shohei.
I know, but don't you? I mean, people are like, well, but he's only hitting this year, so he should. People who are recovering from Tommy John surgery, that is their only job. That is it. We will see you next season. That's all, right? Like Shane Bieber is recovering from Tommy John surgery. He's not out there doing anything else for the Cleveland Guardians. He is working on getting himself better so that he will be ready for maybe late season 2025 at some point. Shohei Ohtani is possibly setting records on the year that he is rehabbing. Think about that for a second.
No, it's nuts, man. I really think he's still appreciated. Like he's that good. And we're seeing two of like the best seasons we'll ever see, historically between him and the guy we're going to talk about next.
Clayton Kershaw, quote, I can't say enough. I don't know what else you can say. It's just every night there's something special he does, all the while rehabbing and trying to get ready to pitch. It's pretty remarkable. Go do it.
He threw off the mound, didn't he?
Yes,
for the
he
first
did.
Time?
He sure did. He threw off the mound. Let's get ready.
Close out the World Series this year. Shohei Ohtani. You heard it here first.
Stop. If that would happen, that would be it.
It's not happening.
And I still am going to live by this stance that the Dodgers got a deal for $700 million. I still believe it. I firmly believe it. Not only just what he does on the field, the business he is bringing in via the Far East.
Yes.
I don't know exactly what the numbers are. We have some idea that they've latched on with, at least a half dozen businesses that they wouldn't have had Shohei not signed on the dotted line. I firmly believe the Dodgers got a decent deal on it. Meanwhile, across the country, those managers who were intentionally walking Aaron Judge, and in some cases with the bases empty, they might have been onto something because of this.
High fly ball, deep left center, Doyle back, see ya, boarding flight 50 home runs. Aaron Judge has done it again. Amazing.
You nailed it as well, Michael K. On yes. So that's his third career 50-homer season. But this year, he's putting together one of the greatest seasons that we have seen in the last several decades. and perhaps ever. He's on his way to becoming a Yankee legend. But Plouffe, can he really become one if he doesn't win a World Series?
Yeah, yes, you can. I understand. Like Jeter came out with the quote this weekend. The only thing that matters is October and all these things. To that, I'll say, I don't want to go. I don't want to make this like a thing about that. I won't even get into what I was going to say because
Wait,
look,
why not? That's
well,
the crux
because
of the question.
I understand what he's saying, and it's easy to say that when you won. How many titles did he win? 4 or 5?
5.
5. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm a little bit jealous of Derek Jeter, but you get drafted into an organization, like you have to play there. I think Derek Jeter was very lucky to get drafted into the Yankees organization. He could have went 5th overall to the Cincinnati Reds, and things probably would have worked out a little bit differently for him.
Mhm.
So you have to get put in the right situation. Then obviously he had a Hall of Fame career, stud. He was one of the reasons they won all these World Series, but you have to be surrounded by, they had Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer on.
No. Hold on here, Trevor. That's not necessarily fair because when Jeter got drafted by the Yankees, he was the 6th overall pick. They were kind of at their low.
They surrounded him with some real deal talent, right?
Because they all came up together, right? The core 4 came up together, and then some of the guys they sprinkled in were not superstars in the 90s.
I don't want to take anything away from. Don't make this me bashing Jeter.
But I think the point is that Aaron Judge didn't join the freaking Pittsburgh Pirates. Aaron Judge was drafted by the New York Yankees, and
Yes.
he has had a ton of talent around him and extremely high payrolls. So the point is that, Yogi Berra was winning 10 World Series when you only had to win 1 playoff series, right?
Yes.
And there weren't the same number of teams that there are today with 30 and all that sort of stuff. But when Mickey Mantle wins 7, when Lou Gehrig wins 8, and Joe DiMaggio wins 9, can we really say that Aaron Judge is a legendary There is a huge difference between Lou Gehrig
No, I'm
and
stopping.
Don
Yes,
Mattingly.
yes, you can say that.
Why?
Because he got the most home runs ever by a non-steroid guy in a single season. And he's going to do it again this year. And he's putting up 10 WAR seasons. Like, this guy is incredible. Like, yes, you can say that. Who's another Yankee legend that didn't win a World Series with Don Mattingly, right?
Yes.
Is he a Yankee legend?
But he is looked at differently. I don't care what you say. Now, he is not on the ilk of a Lou Gehrig, right? A Joe DiMaggio and guys like that. But he was I watched his entire career. He was a freaking baller, dude.
I'm getting away from like the main point here, but like how many Hall of Famers has Judge been surrounded by in his career? I could say Juan Soto's on pace to be it, possibly Garrett Cole. I don't even know. I haven't even looked into that.
Mm-hmm.
But we talk about Giancarlo Stanton, maybe. Like,
Okay,
look, I don't know if he's been surrounded by a ton of crazy talent. Has he?
Trevor, the whole point of the Yankees organization is to win World Series.
He can't do it.
All
you
they're
can't
measured
do
by.
it on your own. We've seen it time and time again with Mike Trout, dude.
His OPS in the playoffs is under 780. He hasn't done his job.
That's a legitimate argument right there. You can talk about that. If you're asking me if Aaron Judge is already a Yankee legend and can he be without winning a World Series, my answer is a resounding yes, Chris.
And I think if you were to ask Yankee fans, I think the answer would be no. I think the way I would see him would be a legendary Yankee. But I think if you ask most Yankee fans, I think it would be the opposite.
If you ask them right now, you think they're just going to say no to that question? I think you're crazy.
Oh, I think it's a resounding no.
Oh, my.
They just celebrated the 2009 Yankees. Every single one of those guys that came out of the dugout, whether they were a really good baseball player or just a guy on the team, will always have a spot because they helped hang that banner. Always. And do you think, I guarantee it probably scares the hell out of Aaron Judge to come back to the Yankee Stadium in 15 years from now and just describe him as several-time MVP, 587 homers, whatever the number's going to end up being, but no World Series moniker when they introduce him.
Obviously, he'd want to be be called a World Series champion. A lot of people go throughout their career and don't win one. I understand that. He wants to be a World Series champion without a doubt. If you asking me if he's going to be embarrassed of his career
I
when he
don't.
gets announced at Yankee Stadium, I think you're crazy.
I think that part will bother him. In part because he's created this to a degree, and this isn't a shot at him. It's what makes him so laser focused. After every game, when he's talking about his own accolades with Meredith Marakovits, he goes, "Well, I'm just thankful it came in a win." Like, he has set this up, right? This is the way he goes about it. He has followed the Jeter line to perfection, that all else does not matter unless the team wins. And at the end of the day, if you're not winning that last game at the end of October, then it is deemed a failure.
But I get what you're saying. I understand that. I love the mentality that he takes. Love that. This is the most team-oriented sport there is. You cannot dominate this sport single-handedly. You just can't.
Mhm.
It's impossible. Starting pitcher, yeah, you can dominate one game, but you can't dominate a series. You can't. Hitters, you only get 4 chances, 5 chances max during a game. You just can't do it. What you said about the postseason numbers, yes, you can point to that. But I think you're crazy if you don't think he's mentioned with some of the all-time Yankees greats just because he hasn't won a World Series yet.
He is mentioned with them. The problem is he can't be put on the same plane. He just can't. When you're talking Mount Rushmore of greatest Yankees of all time, if he does not win it,
I think we need to really rethink the landscape of baseball because there's a lot of things that I could point to right now about those Yankees back in the day, things they didn't have to face.
okay.
I don't know, like a Dominican slider. How about that for one?
Okay, I understand. I
A
understand.
fully integrated game. Like, let's get real here, people.
I want to move on.
Okay, let's move on.
To
Love
the
you,
little-
Jeets. I love you, dog.
You know what?
Why
He's
do
good.
I always feel like I'm bashing Jeter?
You're not bashing
I love
Jeter.
him.
Yeah, but do you think he really gives a shit about what the two of us are saying?
No, he doesn't. He has no idea.
Little League World Series, Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Another amazing finish. The kids from Florida come back to take the title against Chinese Taipei.
They bunt Alexander with the runner at second base, Norton. He gets it down. Oh, it's perfect. He's right there. He's going to win the Little League World Series championship.
Heartbreaking for Chinese Taipei. Amazing for Florida and the United States. Afterward, the pictures truly tell the story. We do have to remember these kids are 11 and 12. Is it too much?
Too much what? Pressure?
Seeing these kids like walk off in tears, or do you just say, hey, listen, this is what's getting them ready for competition when you get older?
It's a lot, and I think this is obviously probably the pinnacle of, 11, 12-year-old baseball. Like, there's Cooperstown, there's all these things, but the fact that it's on ESPN, the fact that there's cameras, the fact that there's so much lead up, you have to win so many games to get here. And really, like when you play Little League Baseball, up until your 11 and 12-year-old season, all you ever think about is the chance to go to Williamsport. So there is a ton of pressure. And you start these leagues start to realize, okay, 9 and 10, these guys are pretty good. Maybe we're going to have a shot. All these things happen. So it's a lot of pressure, but I think, I don't know. I'm on the fence about it, actually, Chris. Now that I'm really thinking about it, it might be a little bit too much, but in the end, I think it's good for people to be in those situations. I even think it's great for people to lose in those situations. You really got to learn how to take an L in your life, and you got to learn from it, and maybe it drives you the rest of the way. You use that fuel, all these things. So as sad as it is to see these kids, I mean, the youth team that I'm part of, they're emotional after almost any loss. Like I think it's just part of growing up. So I guess to answer your question, is it too much? I don't think so, because the rest of the time that they're there, they're having such an amazing time. Like there's so many pros about all of this, the chance to get to meet major leaguers, to play in those parks, to be on TV, to get these highlights, to have these times with your team. I think those kind of outweigh, the loss. And again, I think that I think more people need to lose. I think losing is okay. Sorry, Jeets is not gonna like me saying that.
Well,
But we talk about it all the time, Chris. Like the guys that like just go straight from amateur ball to like the big leagues and never fail. Like I'd almost want to put, if I'm a GM running a team, I'd almost want to put my top prospects in some situation where I know they're going to fail. If I would say like, you got to take 2 strikes and see them lose a lot. So just, they get that feeling, they know how to deal with it. I think that's important in life, Chris.
Yeah, it is. I am all for this. There's been a lot of discussion back and forth. Why does Disney put it on ESPN, ABC, and make these? This is where the parents lend a huge helping hand, because you can teach these kids that it's okay. Like, it's all right to have that happen. And that poor kid that threw the bunt all the way down the line he's going to have to deal with that.
Bunt, by the way.
It is a great bunt. And he made the right play, and there just wasn't anybody covering first, and it stinks. Like, that happens. I will tell you this about my Little League time as a coach. I stink at sports. Like, I'm a bad athlete. I couldn't hit well. I could not throw well. But one thing I always felt like I did was use teaching moments. Like, we had one time where this is the second year of kid pitch. And for parents that have lived through this, it can be brutal.
Yeah.
We had the last batter up. It's a timed game at this point. Last kid. We had a base open. The kid could have walked. We could have walked the kid intentionally and ended up in a tie game. And I went out to Ryan Sauceman. I said, Ryan, pitch to the kid. Pitch as though the bases are loaded right now, because I want you to go get this out, because you got to have this moment. You have to have this moment. He ended up giving up a base hit, and we lost the game. And all the parents are sitting there going, why did you? And I said, I'm happy you're asking. I said, I wanted him to know this feeling, because there's going to be a time in a high school game or middle school game where he's not going to be able to intentionally walk a kid, because we're not going to have a timed game. So this was the time to either succeed or fail. And if he failed, that's okay, because he's really succeeding, because he's using a lesson that he'll take into the next opportunity. So that's what these coaches should be impressing upon the kids, is that use this, because it doesn't feel great, to turn it around, and it will feel great the next time. That's all. I think it was really good. I love that stuff, and I'm happy for those kids from Florida. Had some good personalities on that team. All right, before we move on, a quick word from my buddy Trevor Plouffe.
Whether you're cheering on your alma mater or just love the thrill of college football, you're going to want to listen to this. Right now, all new customers who bet just $5 on anything will $200 in bonus bets instantly with our partners at DraftKings. Stay in on the action and use your $200 in bonus bets to bet anytime touchdowns on DraftKings. DraftKings is the place to bet touchdowns. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. All you got to do, new customers, use promo code baseball today, all one word, baseball today, and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code baseball today only at DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm supposed to send my Super Bowl prediction over to one of our guys today, and I'm taking that team from LA, not the one with the lightning bolt, but the one with the animal to win it all. Go DraftKings Sportsbook app, baseball today, $5. You get $200 in bonus bets instantly at the DraftKings Sportsbook.
Awesome. Good work as always, Plouffe. Big fun weekend around Major League Baseball. Bowden Francis was this close to a no-hitter. Taylor Wood took him deep in the 9th inning and then said, I didn't really see anything super impressive anyway out of the kid, but whatever. So I wanted to give him a shout out. I thought you were pretty good. Keep up the good work out there. But I want to focus on a guy who was a little leaguer just a few seasons ago. He, of course, is the budding star in San Diego.
High drive, deep right field. Merrill, madness! Walk off at Petco. Padres win it 3-2.
I know that last week we talked about Jackson Merrill, but he has this uncanny ability. That was his 6th either game-tying, go-ahead, or walk-off homer in the 8th inning or later this year. Far and away the most in the bigs. Do you believe in a clutch gene?
I don't know if it's a gene, but I think you get into these moments where you're just seeing the ball extremely well, and then success begets success. So once you are seeing the ball well in one of these moments and you have success, you start to feel like, hey, I'm always going to have success here. Once you get that confidence, like it just kind of snowballs. I think that's what we're seeing with Jackson Merrill here. He's been so good all year long and at a bunch of different times of the games, but you mentioned the 6 homers, game time or go ahead. Like once you do the first 2, you're like, oh, I love these situations. It's so fun to be successful. And then you start to kind of like expect it. Like, oh, when I get up, hey, I did it before, I can do it again. And I think that's just what we've seen with him. He's just getting more and more confident with his ability. He's becoming a star. And I mean, especially in San Diego. My goodness, he's out there roaming center field, young kid, good looking dude. He's doing it. I do want to mention, by the way, the Diaz bros, same day, both giving up walk-off homers. You think they call each other? Be like, dang, man.
How
Who
was
would
your
have thought
day?
when we were young playing catch in the backyard, this would have happened?
How was your day, bro? Because mine kind of suck. Can I tell you about mine?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna go first here, if you don't mind. So there is a stat for late and close
Yeah.
in Major League Baseball. That is defined as a plate appearance in the 7th inning or later, with the batting team tied, ahead by 1, or the tying run at least on deck. And his stats, Jackson Merrill, over a 1.1 OPS and 7 homers. I guess I believe in the clutch gene. I don't know. You tell me. Do you get more nervous? Let's say if it's the 9th inning and you're down 4-3 and there's a tying run on second and there's 2 outs. Do you feel differently than the first time you come up in the 2nd inning of a scoreless game?
There's just more adrenaline. There's just more juice, if you will. I love those situations. Like that's what you want. You want to be in those situations. Guys will tell you that. And it is the truth. Like that's every single big league baseball player has a little bit of an ego. Shocker. I don't know if you know that, but like you want to be the guy. And you wouldn't get there to that position if you didn't want to be the guy. And so you get put in those positions and you're thankful that you're in those positions. There are some times you might go up there saying like, man, like I'm probably overmatched here, but heck yeah, like this is awesome. I loved I love those moments. And I don't think you'll find a guy that's in the big leagues that says, I don't really want to be up in those moments. And they truthfully mean that. I don't think they're just saying that either.
Were you ever scared in an at bat? Like, were you ever like not scared of like the pitcher? I'm talking about the moment.
No, I mean, look, again, I think about this every day. It haunts me, people. So go ahead and mention never played in a playoff game.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe I would have been really nervous for that. And I think I probably would have been. But I would have loved it. I would have loved every second of it. I know that for a fact. So was I ever scared in the bat? No. I think, you know what? Probably your first ever at bat. First ever ground ball. That's when you're nervous.
Got it.
Leading up into your first game. But once you get past that, where you're like, okay, like this is the big leagues. After that, no, I don't think I was ever scared.
Okay. Dan, I know that we were going to do the Francisco Lindor stuff, but we're going to save that for later in the week. I just want to, don't worry, Mets fans. I know that you feel like we've been shortchanging Francisco Lindor. We've had some MVP talk recently.
Oh, he was unreal down there in San Diego. Defense.
You want to do that here? You tell me.
What do you want to? Yeah, let's talk about it real quick.
He did homer from both sides of the plate the other day,
Oh,
the Mets, and he has been killing it. He actually has taken, I still believe he's got the F4 lead over Shohei in the National League. And he did a great column with Jeff Passan of ESPN, our buddy. And he said MVPs are not won in June or July. They're won in August and September, which means that he still has plenty of time to perhaps take the MVP away from Shohei Ohtani. Do you think that happens?
I don't. I think Shohei is going to get 50-50. I think he's going to win it. I don't think he's going to win it unanimously, though. And if he goes 50-50, I think it'll be hard for voters not to vote for Shohei, but I know some will just because he is a DH. And Lindor's doing it at the premium position. And if he is leading in WAR because of that, I think that's going to be taken into account. So I think he might he might get some first place votes, especially if Shohei does not accomplish 50-50. Say he ends up 49-50. I bet you Lindor gets a few first place votes, but I don't think he's going to win MVP. Doesn't mean he's not having an incredible season and like one of, if not the biggest reason the Mets are where they're at within striking distance in the wild card. So, no, he's a menace, man. He's been having a really, really good year.
Well, people who know me know that I'm a huge Francisco Lindor fan.
Yes.
Just enormous. I love everything about him. I'm surprised that he never finished higher than 5th in the MVP voting when he was in Cleveland. I do think him being in New York will obviously be a help. People will say, well, he's having better seasons. Well, he's not having better seasons. I can tell you. I saw people who say that did not pay attention. Don't just go look at the numbers. I'm telling you, you played against him in Cleveland. He was
very good. Incredible.
Right. He could do everything. He could run. He still does. He still does.
He when he was in Cleveland and still this way, when you play baseball, you notice guys that just stand out on the field that can kind of that guy's better than everybody.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He is one of those guys. And I think that, the first year was tough for him because it was the first time where people were going to strictly see him as a contract and not as this lovable player. And I think it took him a little while to kind of adjust to that, whether it was the Jeff McNeil incident, the thumbs up, thumbs down BS that went on. But he has grown and he is now comfortable with exactly what he is. So he's going to finish 2nd or 3rd, depending on what happens over the next 5 weeks. He will not be the National League MVP. I would not vote for him to be the National League MVP. And that is not a slight on Francisco Lindor. It's always funny when we talk about if we say, oh, well, you hate him. Think about this. Think of how few people we talk about on a daily show. We do this every day during the season. And there are hundreds of baseball players we don't mention on this show. Hundreds. So the fact that we are talking about Francisco Lindor, and then you're like, oh, you're a hater because I put him 2nd on my MVP ballot.
Yeah,
hater?
No one says that. They don't really mean it, Chris.
No, but some people just think that way, and it bothers me. I like your thought process is flawed. Now, you might think that I'm wrong to put him 2nd instead of 1st, but it ain't a hater. Hater was the year that Pedro Martinez got left off the ballot. That's a hater.
Yeah.
Don't do that stuff. But Francisco Lindor is an amazing baseball player. I'm happy for him. I'm proud of him. And you know what? He posts every damn day.
It's true.
He has played every game this year. I think he played like 160 2 years ago, 161 last year, something like that. He plays every day. And he does it. Freaking love that about him. All right, the Diamondbacks. Boy, they are on a roll again. They have one end of the week. We're going to be talking about a big Diamondbacks Dodgers.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that later in the week. As for now, they're the wild card leader. They've won 6 in a row. They sweep at Fenway. They're great. Meantime, while in Boston, Diamondbacks pitcher Jordan Montgomery was asked about his last offseason where he thought he was going to get a big deal. He had to settle a 1-year, $25 million contract with the Diamondbacks. Monty said, quote, I had a Zoom call with the Red Sox. That's really all I know. It went good. I don't know. Obviously, Boras kind of butchered it, so I'm just trying to move on from the offseason and try and forget about it. So Montgomery's now out of the pen. He has been he's working out of the pen instead of the rotation. Do you think that his offseason contractual issues have at all affected him on the field this season?
Yeah, probably. Like this guy, first of all, signs late, doesn't pitch till late, whatever it is. I think that speaking specifically on the contract, you go and you feel like you're in this position and that not many guys get to be in a walk year. You put up a good year. You expect to just all of a sudden get your massive payday, the big one, and then you don't get it. It's gotta wear on him a lot. Similar to the guys that like turn down contracts at the end of a year and say, no, I'm going to bet on myself. Then things don't go well. Like it wears on you. So do I think that's the main reason why he's now in the bullpen? Like, no, I don't. But if you're asking me, has it affected him? Yes. And I'm actually okay with him saying, by the way, that Boras butchered his free agency. Maybe like the tact isn't there, whatever you want to call it, but I think that it's okay to be critical. Like everybody wants, like, Boras has been praised so much, from a bunch of different people. Like I think that there has been some misreadings of the free agency in the last couple of years, and I think it's okay to be criticized. When if you're gonna take the praise, you got to be able to take the criticism as well. He's not with Boras anymore, by
Right.
the way. That's kind of a reason why he's probably said that or felt like he could say that. He's with the Wasserman Group now. So, yes, I think it has affected his performance. I don't think it's the main reason, though.
I think there's no question about it. In fact, I had to go dig a little bit, like, why is he saying this? And then I remembered that his wife was doing some either work or studying up in Boston and felt like Boston would have been a good fit. We don't know what sort of contract the Red Sox offered him. Scott Boras, by the way, just released a statement saying, hey, listen, I'm a lawyer. I can't say anything unless Jordan Montgomery, even though he's no longer my client, unless he gives me permission. And if so, I'll speak freely about it. So, he's doing the right thing there. I would say this is that Jordan Montgomery is not a businessman, right? So he does need to get good advice, the best advice possible. But at the end of the day, because I have an agent too, I'm not dealing in $25 million contracts, but I've had contracts over my life of what I do. And my agent says, here's what it is. Here's what we're looking at. And I would say, well, what do you think? And there was one time where I got screwed. Now, that's on me at the end of the day, because I could have said, no, I'm more comfortable with this situation instead of that one. And at the end of the day, I can't sit here and say, well, that was so-and-so's fault, because it wasn't. It was on me. So I don't know. Obviously, I'm not privy to Montgomery and Boras conversations behind closed doors, but I wish he would have said it's at some point, hey, he gave me these things. I asked for his advice. What?
No, keep going.
Well, what are you laughing at? Come on. What are you?
Oh, never mind. We're good.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just looking. Look, I mean, I'm going back. This guy wins the World Series last
That's
year.
the thing.
188 innings, a 3.2 ERA.
I understand his frustration, dude. He was going like this in his career. And was he in his early 30s? Yes. But other than that, like everything was going the right direction.
I thought that he has a player option that vested at 10 games started. And I thought for some reason the catcher in the bullpen, he wasn't going to get that.
Oh, no.
He's
like
already got it.
18 or 19 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he is also at his lowest strikeout rate and highest walk rate since becoming a full-time starter. So I hope it works out for him. I felt badly for him. I was shocked he didn't get a better contract in the offseason. Shocked. He was the one I circled and said, I can't believe that. As it is, people are saying, well, he's still got 1 year, $25 million. Everything is relative when we're talking.
Also, $20 million player option for next year.
What do you think he does? But he's got to take that. He has to take that and reestablish himself. That's what he has to do.
Well, it's not a good team. Why wouldn't you want to be on this team?
Yeah. Unless he's just having a miserable time. We don't know that. I hope he doesn't, because I like Torey Lovello. I like Mike Hazen. I think they do a good job. Last thing, let's do this quickly. Salvador Perez, we've all seen the video of him going to play. Now, our buddy Aaron from the Blitzball world says those are blitzballs that he's hitting out there. And if so, he is more than welcome to join us in the warehouse. But he actually just was driving along, and he stopped and saw some kids playing. And he was like, hey, mind if I join you? We got a day off. I'm going to hang here. How freaking awesome is it that Salvador Perez just played at some kid's house?
It's amazing. Another example, dude, like, look how much run this is getting. And, like, we already know that Sal's a good guy, and he wasn't doing this for PR purposes.
No.
Like, this is just, he wanted to have some fun. But look at what this does for you, man. Everyone's talking about this. How awesome is it? Those kids are so happy. They're going to tell everybody. It's going to be something they remember forever. I love it, dude.
Yeah, the stories about Willie Mays, when he would walk home from the ballpark and go play stickball are legendary. But now when you see stuff like this, it is just...
I would dice Sal Perez up in blitzball. Don't you dare come in the warehouse. That's mine.
It hasn't been yours.
If he wants to be on my team, he can be on my team.
It hasn't been yours for a while.
Oh, my God.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm a facts guy.
Okay.
Blitzball Battle 5?
Yeah, and I'm not a warehouse legend, and neither is Aaron Judge for the Yankees. Sure.
Wait a second. You've won. You have 2 banners.
Keep thinking that.
You have 2 banners. You have 2 banners. All right. This was a fun show. Ton going on in the weekend. This is great. I love being back and talking about it. It is awesome. All right. So we are back at it again on Tuesday. Shout out to our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke. That is the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. Thanks so much for tuning in to Baseball Today, presented to you by 5 Hour Energy.